I don't want to die anymore. That's why I created an absolute tanky monk that at the same time deals illegal damage values. In 9 hours, we flew from Act 1 to Act 3 Cruel, and we're currently sitting at tier 10 maps with level 75 and feeling pretty damn good. This is solo self-found. How are we so tanky? And what's the secret to that DPS boost you can see in the background? Before we start into the defense and damage, a short introduction of what we're actually doing. This monk uses Ice Strike to slap your opponent silly, together with Wave of Frost against annoying mob packs that you want to freeze on distance, into Charge Staff for bonus lightning damage and lightning waves, and then the Bell to punish bosses and steal away their right to exist. There's more going on in the background with persistent buffs. We'll get to that as we go through every single skill gem and the support. Heads up, we have a full starter guide for this build in the description below. Now, in order to get Mighty Tanky and Undying, I wanted Evasion, Life, Energy Shield, and for some reason I managed to get 72% damage reduction without even having a single point of armor. We all know that 72% is not actually 72% because armor is kind of scuffed. It still helps tons. Now that 240 energy shield is plenty low, but I could boost it up to 500 and beyond straight away. First, let's talk about that armor value though. And this is baked into the Invoker Monk Ascendancy. You can get yourself more evasion rating and energy shield, then you get more spirit for every evasion rating and energy shield that your body armor has. In my case, I currently have 805 evasion rating on my chest piece, which grants me a net total of 53.6 bonus spirit. Pretty good. But if you go further, you get another 20% evasion rating and then protect me from harm. Physical damage reduction from armor is based on your combined armor and evasion rating. We will have 40% less evasion rating, but that doesn't matter because I'm sitting at 80% evasion rating and it straight up leads to 72% physical damage reduction. That physical damage reduction came especially handy in during my third ascendancy that I did with level 65 already. Monk is truly monstrous in OP. That poor boss just vanished from existence. Poof, gone. And I could put 6 points in. This already has you quite out of harm's way in many situations. And with maxed out resistances, that will make you super sturdy. Right now, I can still die to lightning and frost, which is quite annoying and I definitely need a new amulet. But my current one has increased item rarity found, and we all know how stupid increased item rarity found is right now, so I cannot put it away. The thing to boost now to get even more tanky is my energy shield. And since we have taken tons of energy shield multiplying nodes pretty much everywhere, every point of energy shield is so much more than just 1 point. And very important, we took Spectral Ward, +1 maximum energy shield per 12 evasion rating on your body armor. Alone, this node right now, with a full evasion rating gear, not a single energy shield, is responsible to this 240 energy shield. Now the plan would be to swap out my gloves, boots, and helmet to evasion rating / energy shield gear. In terms of the helmet, full energy shield. Why would the helmet be full energy shield instead of evasion rating? Because there's a node called Subterfuge Mask. 2 evasion rating per 1 maximum energy shield unequipped helmet. With the 200 energy shield helmet, we would already get the 400 evasion rating, the best of both worlds, while multiplying both up further forward anyways. And that 200 energy shield would not just simply be 200 energy shield, it would more like be 400 energy shield. Pretty good, I reckon. With this setup, I already feel quite comfortable in tier 10 maps in my level 75. Do need to boost my resistances up further as that can be annoying. And if I get the last leap on the energy shield, I'll truly be that monstrous tank I always imagined to be. Now, how do we increase our DPS to tremendous values already very early on, all the way towards the end game? The secret sauce for this has a couple of layers. Ice Strike is our main attack for damage, and Ice Strike is being boosted by Martial Tempo. That's already just 2,000 more DPS, as it gives us more attack speed. And then we're also increasing our elemental damage by 25%, which works really well considering that we not only do cold damage, we also have some fire damage on our staff and lightning damage. Therefore, the boost to 25% all elemental damage just works better than focusing on half, for example, with a physical. Both were tried out. And the last support gem we're currently playing is a Rage. Supported skills grant 3 Rage on melee hit, and since this is our main attacking weapon, my main attacking skill, we always use it. We get another 1% bonus attack damage per 1 Rage, up to 30% total. and you're permanently running around with this. And this 30% multiplies nicely up everything else and truly has your DPS just fly all the way upwards. But that is not the only scalar we're having for our damage. In the passive tree, we're getting more damage if we chilled something and shocked something recently, which we always do. Then with a recent critical strike, more damage. And with a recent critical strike, even more damage. While we're going to be doing our utmost best on the right with further levels to boost our damage bonus and critical hit chance even more. Currently sitting at 30% crit hit chance with 240% critical damage bonus. Works pretty well. Now that's only damage layer number 1 though, because Ice Strike is not the only thing that hurts the enemy hard. Second up would be Charged Staff. Charged Staff gives us more lightning damage. That more lightning damage works together well with the Primal Armament. And our Charged Staff itself throws out the shockwave that does lightning damage and can shock. Therefore, we're playing the Conduction gem on the Charged Staff to give it more chance to shock, to always have shock on our opponent. And that would multiply our damage up further. Now this shock would also put lightning exposure on our opponent, giving us simply more damage by penetrating their resistance hard. And last but not least, we made that exposure hit even harder. Since we're shocking our opponents, if we kill them, our Herald of Thunder will do a lightning explosion to everyone around. Why wouldn't we do this? And it will buff our consecutive attacks afterwards. Now, in order to have it deal more damage, we get lightning infusion on it, and then we're going to put a long shot. Long shot is interesting. It gives us 35% more attack damage to enemies further than 7 meters away, and that shrinks the closer they are. But we want our Herald of Thunder to hit like kind of everyone on the screen around the target, so that 7 meter comes in plenty handy to just either give us a lot more damage or nothing, but if something is close to me, it anyways gets twacked with my quarterstaff. And lastly, it's currently Lightning Mastery for another skill rank and just straight up more damage. Hold on, there's more layers of damage and control. We get our Herald of Ice 2. We freeze enemies with a charged staff and they explode and shatter. This will deal more elemental damage but cannot freeze itself. Doesn't matter because we're actually freezing the whole time with our quarterstaff. Then we'll deal even more cold damage, and we're getting another level to the cold skills for even more damage. Now, before we get to the Tempest Bell, which is the absolute boss wrecker, let's talk about Wave of Frost. Wave of Frost is bonus control. There's some really annoying ranged mob. There's a room full of enemies that you don't like at all. Some weird stunners or whatsoever. You can just 1 or 2 Wave of Frost and you will absolutely freeze everything. It has 275% more freeze buildup. It is crazy. And since it has so much freeze buildup, we'll do even more freeze buildup with it to truly, with 1 click or 2, freeze everything. And since we're gonna freeze the whole screen, it's magnified effect. And it would be looking like this. I mean, it's truly like a complete goddamn screen freeze. And then you can straight up twag afterwards with your stuff. So you're gonna freeze and twag, and freeze and twag, and freeze and twag. Can absolutely overwhelm packs of monsters. Lastly, Ice Bite. Attacks gain 35% of damage as cold damage for 3 seconds on freezing an enemy with supported skills. And since this freezes AP instantly, we're just having more damage. Why not? Works super good. Freeze a mob pack, jump into it, demolish them really quick. That brings us to our final damage stack, and that would be the Tempest Bell. You're just ringing the bell with your lightning and your frost attacks, and bosses just plummet out of the sky. They just get destroyed. And since we always want to have 1 bell up, and maybe even 2 bells, we play Overabundance into heavy swings for more fizz damage, and heft for even more fizz damage. These 2 physical damage scalars work extremely well as the main total damage is here in the physicals, and that just gets multiplied up plenty well with heft and heavy swings. Now, in order to stay alive even more and not ever get hurt, we have Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer gives us more evasion rating, which is also more physical defense. Has 3 stages, people hit us, they get staggered back. In this case, we would do bonus pin build up with a Wind Dancer, and also maim to just have them be slowed. Why not? And since we have tons of spirit from our chest piece, we can opt in the Ghost Dance as well, which gives us every 3.35 seconds a shroud. And when I get hit, I consume a shroud to recover energy shield equal to 5% of my evasion. My evasion is 9,000 right now. We'll be recovering enough energy shield, and that's why we also need more energy shield. And now, if I'm not 100% mistaken, we should be able to play fast forward on the Ghost Dance to make it give us a shroud faster. And that's surprisingly working. Duration between ghost shrouds is 2.35 seconds instead of 3.35 seconds. Bam! And we recover 400 energy shield. That would be the value you at least want to have, that if you get hit, VOP, 400 energy shield back. And the final spirit ability that you cannot go without is Combat Frenzy. Combat Frenzy is what gives us the power charges for the charge staff by freezing or pinning enemies. And we always freeze or pin enemies. We always have a power charge available. And with Perfusion, supported skill have a 50% chance to grant an additional power charge. We really always have power charges. And in order for Combat Frenzy to work, you do need the Resonant Keystone because we're gaining Frenzy charges. But these are being turned into power charges straight away. Simple as cake. Otherwise, in the passive tree, we focus on a lot of energy shield, evasion rating, bonus freeze buildup, critical strike, bonus damage. Then we went up here for the elemental damage with the shocks and the bonus critical hit chance and more bonus damage. Most likely going to fill this completely out as you want to have all the crit bonus damage available with tons of attack speed. We're getting also more damage if we're full life, which works together with the Ghost Dance to have our energy shield always up. And we need to turn our evasion rating from the chest into energy shield. We're also blinding our enemies with attacks, why not? And our dexterity gives us way more attack speed. We're currently sitting at 233 dex and we're boosting our dex by 8%. So more dex will always be good. You have a 16 more dex on gear, just take it. Up here in the quarterstaff node, you need to really look for this one up here, one with a river. Because 30% increased defense while wielding a staff. That straight up boosts your energy shield, your evasion rating, and therefore also your armor. But the more energy shield we have, well, the more energy shield you have. Works really well with a bonus attack speed and also more critical hit chance and that 25 dexterity that we just talked about. I'm still heavily debating on picking acrobatics. It would be 70% less evasion rating, but you could evade everything. We're talking about ground effects and all this stuff. Right now, this would mean for me going from our 8,000 evasion and 80% down to 49 and 44. I do believe if I had more evasion rating right now, if I had like a 1,500 evasion rating chest, maybe I would consider this, but I'll certainly do need more energy shield to make this happen. Before I think about playing acrobatics, I'd rather finish out the subterfuge mask node and finally pick up a helmet with tons of energy shield. Right now, this is full evasion rating as I was looking to fill out my resistances and tons of evasion rating on the chest for our energy shield into evasion rating node, with even more evasion rating on my gloves because they also grant physical damage, as this physical damage is just a bonus 1000 DPS right now. With my boots being full evasion rating because it has increased rarity of items found, yes, I do want to get rid of them, but they do also have 70% chaos resistance. Quite harsh to say no to. For your staff, you're looking mostly for physical damage. I do have a little bit of fire damage here, and this has one simple reason. First and foremost, because I had it, but your Tempest Bell, if you hit it with elemental ailments, does more damage. We hit it with lightning right now, and we hit it with frost. And surprisingly, the little bit of fire damage here will ignite the bell as well to have it do even more damage. Otherwise, we're looking for level 2 melee skills, and the physical damage as mana drain works really well to help you keep topped up. I'll keep playing this monk at least until level 85 because I want to do my 4th ascension to fully flash it out and see how far I can take this concept. Right now, I'm incredibly happy with the power level it has. It has been the fastest campaign playthrough, the easiest way into the map. Overall, just an absolutely no struggle character. By focusing on defense and still getting so much offense is crazy. Now here's the monk starter and tips for your 3rd ascendancy. Thank you for watching and hope you're gonna have a fantastic good time. Take care.